Hi, everybody. David Yaskin. I'm going to tell you about something, and probably most of you are going to say, that's not going to work. Luckily, I've had some experience in this. Back in '99, we had this idea that maybe professors could use technology to improve the way that students interact. Everyone said, that's not going to work. But Blackboard ultimately became a public company and sold for a few $1 billion. That was useful. Around 10 years ago, we had this idea that maybe faculty would sort of figure out which students were struggling in their class and indicate that, and then the students could get support about financing and advising and tutoring. A lot of people go, that's not going to work, faculty aren't going to do anything. But when it was 2015, we sold this company Starfish that I helped to create for $40 million. And right now, there are around 1,000 different schools using Starfish, and companies like EAB and Civitas do that same thing. So we create a second market. So there is another new market that's going to be created to improve college student success, and that is around the idea of if professors can teach better, students will learn better, and their student outcomes will be better. Does that make, everyone's like, no way. We'll see. So the student success business, the advising business, colleges spend $1 billion on student services. They spend $60 billion on faculty salary and benefits. Do you believe that schools know how professors teach? No data, no insight, no sense of it. They could have, I was talking to Michael Crow, runs Arizona State University. He's like, David, I believe we have great teachers, but maybe they could get better, but most institutions don't have a sense of that. They want them to teach better, but it's hard. And so we have a technique that was developed that enables to incent college professors to want to teach better, then it makes sure they actually change their behavior, and that ultimately is great for students. So is it worth it? A gentleman named Scott Freeman at the University of Washington, he's a biology professor. He studies how students learn STEM, and they looked at research papers that have been published from 1950 to now. Can you find great papers that do things like randomized control trials? What he found is that when you don't lecture to students and use active learning techniques, you engage them in higher order thinking, you provide context around what they do, half the students who typically fail will not fail. And if anyone knows what the college administrators are trying to do, if you fail your classes, according to Vincent Titto, you don't get academically integrated, you don't get socially integrated, you tend to exit the school. We need to make that better. So there's really just not a lot of data. The classroom is a black box. There are course evaluations. They tell you whether you're a bad teacher, but not whether you're a good teacher or not. There's lots of learning management system data. Once again, it's about learning and not teaching. There are companies that are saying, hey, if you watch all my lectures and you can do a little practice exam, then you're certified, but that's at a point in time. What one needs is to actually get real data from the classroom about how people are teaching and understand that that's affecting student outcomes. If you had that data, let's think about the hiring process. There are 750,000 part-time instructors in the United States. Did you know half of instructors are part-time? The number one criteria is, do they have content knowledge? Are they great at chemistry? Number two is, are they great at teaching? There's just no information. So if you can enable institutions to know, that can dramatically change how things are happening. How do we make professors better? Well, first you got to get them to go, and that's really hard, so we'll talk about incentives in a minute. But what they tend to do is they have these workshops. You sit around a class like this. I'll basically talk to you for an hour about all the things that you're not doing. You'll forget about it. And then a month later, when you're back in the classroom, you're probably not going to be able to impact. We're going around surveying teaching and learning centers, and they're saying the best thing that we do is do one-on-one consulting. We have help desk. That's what really works. We have to do workshops. So there is a better technique. And that technique is called situated learning. If you can incent a faculty member to every week say, I just taught a class. The objectives of that class where I was trying to do these two things. I did the following few things, and reflect on it, right? Did it work? Did it not work? Do you have any data the students learned or not? If you follow that process, already the person's going to teach better because they're having reflection every week in a structured way. The second thing is then they say, well, of these 20 key points about what's good teaching, like contextualizing the knowledge, right? Did you do that? So you start generating data about whether those faculty taught well, then you have 2 other professors that are part of their cohort. Give them feedback, you have a facilitator give them feedback, and that same professor starts looking at how others are teaching in their cohort. It's like Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers really works. By publicly stating I want to become a better teacher, by getting feedback, by getting support, you really do start changing behavior. So this work was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at LaGuardia Community College. They wrote this wonderful book. So Stanford Research Institute found that when you use this technique, which is powered by software, 4.5% more students continued with the faculty that used this technique after a year than those that did not use that technique. So it has a big impact. But how are we going to get people to do it? Once again, half of the professors today are part-timers. We will pay them for their professional development. We will help them find their next job. We'll help the graduate student who teaches well as got their PhD find the next job. And the progressive colleges, the ones that bought Starfish, also make sure their new faculty go and do professional development. So there is a market. Not every faculty member wants to do it, but the ones that you can economically incent will. So we're looking for partner colleges beyond the Starfish crew. Northern Virginia Community College is jumping on board. We're excited about that, but we want more schools, and we're looking for some angel capital. Thank you very much.